So the Bank of Canada has just come out and officially announced that they're going to be doing interest rate cuts this year. So why is this important when the general consensus was that they're going to cut rates in the near future, likely this year anyway? Well, because they've been very careful in their language in the past, especially in the past announcements around the verbiage that they've used surrounding rate cuts. They've never fully come out and said they were going to cut rates. They've always said some kind of language around we're going to continue to monitor the inflation numbers and monetary policy, and if anything, we're going to increase rates. So the language wasn't even surrounding rate cuts; it was more surrounding rate hikes, any potential rate hikes maybe around the corner if they see monetary policy not working, or if their inflation was going to go higher. They'd always kept that language very, very careful, because they didn't want to make the mistake of letting people know they're going to do rate cuts, because that news alone would have triggered a lot of people, especially in the housing market, to go out and then start buying homes. So what does this exactly mean for real estate and the future of housing? Well, just the mere news of even rate cuts is going to be now bringing a lot of buyers from the sidelines who were otherwise uncertain and just tiptoeing around the idea or just on the fence. Around this time, pretty much last year in 2023, the Bank of Canada had actually mentioned in their language, in their statement, that they're going to be doing no more rate hikes, right? They'd come out flat out and said that. And what that did is that really brought so many people into the market, because everybody was like, all right, well, rate cuts are going to come. There's going to be no more rate hikes. And then the market started going crazy, especially it peaked around in May. So from March to May, it really peaked. And last May, we saw crazy frenzy of buying and selling, multiple offers, and all kinds of craziness in the real estate market that drove prices up, and we're at our high again at that time. So ever since then, the bank's been very careful about the language around their policy, language around the statements that they put out, because they didn't want to trigger that kind of response again. So that's why this announcement, this statement is very important now, because they've actually come out and said we're going to be doing rate cuts this year. Even the last two rate holds that we had one in January, and then we had one in the beginning of March. And even those two rate pauses alone brought a lot of people and a lot of buyers from the sidelines and a lot of sellers to go and list properties. Especially the second half of January and all of February, we saw a lot of activity in the real estate market, specifically multiple offers on starter homes like townhouses and semi-detached and even detached properties as well. Inflation numbers had come out for February, and they came in at just under 3%. I believe it was 2.8. And so all of these measures are indicating that rate cuts are coming soon. But how soon are they going to come, right? A lot of experts are saying it's going to probably come around the next rate announcement. Some are saying it's going to come around the summertime. I personally don't think that the Bank of Canada is going to do a rate cut as early as the next announcement, which is coming in April, because it's right around that spring market time in real estate, which is where most of the activity happens every year in real estate. And I don't think they'll make the mistake of doing that, because that's going to bring a ton of activity. It's just really going to drive up too much demand, and we're already kind of short on supply, even though we have seen rise in inventory and rise in supply over the last few months. I don't think it'll be wise for them to do that, and I don't personally believe they're going to do it as early as the April announcement, but maybe the June, July announcement, they might come out and do a rate cut then. People are also starting to get used to this higher for longer interest rate environment, because they understand that this is how things are going to be. We're not going to go back to the sub 2% or even around 2% interest rates. And so they're prepping themselves now. They've gotten tired over the last 2 years of waiting and not being able to enter the market. A lot of people that are currently renting, who are paying exorbitant amount of rents, especially compared to pre-pandemic levels, are starting to say, you know what, this is it now. This is time for us to buy. They're getting their qualifications, they're getting pre-qualified, and they're going through that process of getting into the market. They're finally starting to realize that, they can't wait for rates to start dropping, because when that happens, once rates start dropping, people are going to start really flocking into the market, because that's when all that pent-up demand is going to flood through the gates. And right now, even though we are seeing an increased activity in both buying and selling, obviously, the new listings are up, sales are up on a year-over-year basis, active listings, new listings are up. Average price is somewhat still flat compared to last year, but buyers now have a little bit more choice than they did exactly a year ago. So there's still that time right now where you can somewhat buy something without having the stress of going through multiple offers before all the craziness starts happening over the next, course of the year. Let's just say the second half of this year, I believe, is going to be absolutely, I don't want to use the word chaotic, but it is going to be very active. We're going to see a lot of buyers. We're going to see red hot activity. Probably not, the likes of what we saw in the beginning of 2022 and most of 2021, but we are going to start seeing a major pickup in activity. I believe people, especially buyers right now, are focusing on finding the right property as opposed to, finding the right price for the home, because they understand that supply, even though it's gone up, it's still quite limited. So now what they're focusing on is, can I afford the mortgage payments every single month, even though the rates are high? But most importantly, can I find the right property? So if you are a buyer that's on the fence, who's not sure about, where they stand, I highly suggest going and talking to a mortgage broker, getting pre-qualified, get in touch with me, and we'll find out case by case whether or not this may be the right time for you to buy. There's other options that you can enter the market with as well, especially if you're paying low rents like pre-construction properties. If you'd like a free, no obligation one-on-one consultation with me, always feel free to go ahead, click the link in the description to book a time that works for you on my calendar, and I'd be happy to chat. That's all I have for you guys today. The next Bank of Canada's interest rate announcement is going to be on April 10th, so look out for that news. If you're not subscribed to my newsletter, please go ahead and do so. I talk about all things real estate in my newsletter every single month. The link to that will also be in the description. And of course, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can get access to all my videos as soon as they come out. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.